Hello and welcome. My name's Lee Gotch and I'm here to talk to you about a sale that we've got at C&T Auctions. It's titled Dolls, Dolls Houses, Teddy Bears and Related Items, and also includes a lovely collection of half dolls and dressing table boxes. I'll walk you through a few of the highlights that are in the sale next week, and if we start at the beginning of the sale kicks off with around 11 lots of dolls houses. Charming English dolls house called Edith Villa, dated 1878, so it's nice that it tells us that. It's a lovely example, this, all original paint, lovely front door as you can see, but what's very charming about it is the little paper painted collages that we see in the windows here, obviously done by a child at the time, but a very nice added piece really. Not something that you see. I mean, this would have been done by the child, probably in a nursery or something like that. But lovely doll's house. As I said, one of 11 that's in the sale, and the estimate, this is lot 3, and the estimate on that is £600 to £1,000. After the dolls houses, we do have a nice selection of dolls house miniatures. So if you have a dolls house that needs to be furnished, then have a look at the sale catalogue that's online or come along to the sale. Sort of move on to, we've got a selection of teddy bears in the sale. We've got some early Styfes and some later English bears as well. Particularly, one that I particularly like is this Styfe, what we call a teddy baby. He dates to around circa 1930. Made by Styfe, I think he's, yes, got the famous button in the ear. He's nice being white mohair, clipped mohair feet here, and typical teddy baby, the paws are, as you can see, pointed downwards. Nice example, all good. As I said, nice little selection of teddy bears that we've got in the sale, and he is lot number 65, and the estimate I think is £300 to £500. Also in the sale, we've got a nice selection of dolls' clothes, but it does include what I think is a fabulous 18th century dolls' clothes. This would probably be for something like an English wooden doll, which would be to that period. But as you can see, lovely blue embroidery here, and lovely shaped bodice, lovely skirt with the trim, the pink trim, and oops, there you go, her undergarments as well to keep her warm. You remember? Didn't have central heating back then. That's a nice piece. As I say, it's nice and early, being 18th century, probably around sort of the 1740 to 1760 period, that kind of thing. And she's in the sale, and she's estimated at, the outfit is estimated at £500 to £800. The sale moves on to French dolls that we've got in the sale, and we've got a good selection of French dolls, about approximately around 35 lots, of which you can see a few here. First of those being, this is quite nice, I like this. There's its nice presentation box, and you open it up and there's your doll for you. This is a nice French bebe from the 1880s, made by a company or a gentleman called Schmidt, so she's known as a Schmidt bebe. And she comes in this very nice presentation box. She's got lovely pale bisque, lovely blue eyes, as you can see there. She comes with additional dress and hat and toilettes, binoculars, and a little watch. Quite a rare doll. They don't turn up that often, the Schmidts, and she's estimated at £4,000 to £6,000. The sale also has quite a nice selection of what is probably the most famous of the French doll makers, which is Jumeau. Here's a nice example of an earliest Jumeau, again 1880s, known as a portrait Jumeau. And again, nice early white pale bisque, nice doll. She's all there for you, and again, nice one in the sale. I think this is quite a striking, this is what we call a tête jumeau. So this would be to more of the late 1880s and coming into the 1890s. But I love her outfit. I think it's very striking. I think she would have turned many an eye in that at the time. Again, nice example, lovely blue eyes, but lovely pale bisque as well, nicely painted lips, etc. I think the estimate on her is something like £1,600 to £2,200. But as I said, love the outfit, very nice, very typical of the bebes of that period in France. And then continuing with Jumeau really, and the Jumeau factory, we have a very nice example here of a tête jumeau, or bébé jumeau as it said on the front, in its original box. It's a slightly later example. These are typically known as Dep Jumeaux because the heads were imported to the Jumeaux company. But again, lovely presentation here. So its original box, label. This is all its original clothes. This is exactly how you would have bought the doll back in, let's say, the sort of around the 1895, 1900 period. That's how it would have been in the shop. That's how you would have bought it. Very nice example. I think the estimate on that is something like 400 to 600. I think the last of the French dolls that I'm going to show you, because as I said, we've got a nice selection of French dolls in the sale, called a kicking Steiner. This is a Bourgogne Steiner. This would have been made around 1885, so 1880s again. This is again all original clothes, un bleu clothes. It has a mechanism, so what you should be able to do with this is, so she's called a kicking Steiner. She has a clockwork mechanism to her stomach. So you should, if we pull, there we go. She says Mama and Papa, and then moves her legs and her arms, and the head moves from side to side. So quite a nice little piece that. As I say, all original clothes, lovely example of what we're buying, and I think she's in at 1,000 to 1,500. We move on to the German dolls. I think there's near on 100 lots of German dolls, but we start off with something that the Germans were trying to do in the 1880s. During the 1880s, obviously, the French dolls dominated the marketplace. A couple of German companies tried to emulate this and tried to break into this marketplace. One being a company called Kessner, and they made this doll, which is typically known as an A.T. Kessner. Now, A.T. stands for one of the top French companies that were making dolls at the time, and Kessner have basically tried to copy that face. And I don't think they've done a bad job on it there. Price differences, if you wanted what we call an AT, which is a Fullier, that would cost you in excess of £20,000. This one, Kessner AT, is in at £2,000 to £3,000. But again, lovely doll, lovely painting, very delicate, very shiny bisque, oily bisque, nice blue eyes, nice body. As I said, there's lots of German dolls in the sale. Estimates range from £40, £50 up to £2,000 to £3,000. Please, if you want a doll, do come along. The sale finishes with a nice little selection of bisque figurines. We've got this pair of Heubart figurines, again dating to about 1910, showing a typical boy and girl with their pug dogs and with her cat. Lovely moulding, really nice pieces, great looking pieces. They're in at £300 to £500 for the pair. Of half dolls or pincushion dolls and dressing table boxes. 98-99% of the collection does date to the 1920s, so it's very strong and heavy on the flapper girls of that period, the deco girls. In the half dolls, this is a typical 1920s half doll by Dresser & Kister. Very much that Pierrot face with the skull cap. But again, the detailing in the painting and the shading around the eyes and that wistful sort of far away look, it's a lovely piece. These come in various sizes. This is probably a medium size half doll. As I said, large selection of half dolls in the sale, so is well represented. To finish this collection, we move on to dressing table pieces. The first pieces, this is a powder puff, and you've got Pierrot there and Pierrette here with her lute or mandolin, and that is a powder puff that a woman would have on her dressing table. Again, 1920s, very typical of that Art Deco and that Pierrot period where that was very, very popular. Nice piece, quite rare to get the two together, and it's perfect. I think that's in at something like £250, £350. Around that kind of value. Dressing table trinket boxes, something like this. This is a typical, as you see, a typical 1920s deco girl with her playing cards. There you go. Typical look on a lovely box, dice box, and there you go. So it works. You'd put your trinkets or your rings or stuff like that in there. Again, lovely piece, and I think that's estimated at 150 to 250. So I think very reasonably priced. Look good on any dressing table. So small selection, and the sale on Wednesday, the 13th of November, and starts at 10:30 a.m. and that's at the Spa Hotel in Royal Tunbridge Wells.